Honorable Speaker, the manufacture of pesticides and pest control are also being exempted under the VAT. And all these things, Honorable Speaker, are in this bill. But nobody wants to say, I will say them, Mr. Speaker, because I have a duty and responsibility to inform the people of Kenya on the truth about what is in this bill, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there are also other proposals of zero rating items to do with fertilizer, as I mentioned, some for sugarcane in sugar mills, pest controls, Honorable Speaker, and I could enumerate, Honorable Speaker. Under the excise duty, Honorable Speaker, and I know the member from Mathare took 1 minute, I will beg you add me that 1 minute. Under the Excise Duty Act, Honorable Speaker, a raft of measures also, which will have a benefit to the business community, have been enlisted in this bill, and the committee, if you interact with the report, Honorable Junet, has improved on those proposals. And the bill seeks, for instance, to remove the annual inflation adjustment for certain accessible goods that have been making business people and manufacturers to review the cost of.
Give him 2 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, the review of cost of prices were occasioned by the review of inflation on excise duty. This now will become a thing of the past. Honorable Speaker, from the lake region, the coastal belt, where we are producing fish, you are not telling your communities and your voters that we are now protecting the fish industry with a 20% levy, which unfortunately the committee has reviewed to 10%. And this is to protect fish farmers in this country, and not just in Nyanza or the coast. Even fish farmers in Ondire, in Kikuyu, are now protected from cheap imports. And we have seen Chinese trawlers, Chinese coming, let me not mention countries, Honorable Speaker, apologies for that, but we have seen foreigners importing fish into our country, destroying our local farmers. We are protecting those people, but nobody is speaking about them. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to speak about them. Honorable Speaker, other than the fish, imported furniture, Honorable Speaker, if you walk through all government offices, including our constituency offices, Honorable Speaker, we use imported furniture. There is now a levy of 30% on imported furniture to make sure that hustlers producing furniture on Gong Road, Karioko, Kariobangi, in Kikuyu, Makutano, they are able to produce furniture and be able to sell them even to government institutions, Honorable Speaker. But we are not speaking about this. It is easier to vilify this bill. It is easier to sell lies and propaganda, like those I have seen in Kiambu County, lying to people that even the stores that carry milk are being taxed. But they are not telling them that there are incentives for local chocolate manufacturers who use milk that will come from farmers in Githunguri, in Kiambu, or in Limuru. It is easier to sell lies, Honorable Speaker, but allow me to support this bill with nothing but the truth that is contained in this bill. And as I close, Honorable Speaker, I want to speak to the people of Kenya. You have been told many things vilifying this bill that are untrue. I want to assure you, should this House approve this bill, together with the amendments being proposed by the committee, you will see you will not be as hurt as those who vilify this bill, as those who lie to you have made you believe. You will come to see it is only for your good, because we are here to represent you, to do and act in the best interest of the people without being directed by any other interests other than the interest of rising our economy from where it was left by the handshake regime and those who were there before us. And finally, Honorable Speaker, knowing and appreciating what has been said, we have two choices: to either raise taxes from the people of Kenya and finance the expenditures that we all approved here last night, or to go out and borrow. But we said and we committed as a Kenya Kwanza government, we shall not sink this country into a deeper economic hole by borrowing. We shall be innovative. There are innovations to tap into new taxes, like the digital economy, Honorable Speaker. And I appreciate the committee has brought the digital content providers from 15% to 5%. But there are also digital assets like the cryptocurrencies, Honorable Speaker, that are not being taxed. We are tapping into those things to be able to raise more taxes and expand the tax base. Finally, Honorable Speaker, let us not lie to Kenyans. If there are people who will pay more out of this, it is the rich. It is the rich who are earning 800,000, 500,000 shillings and above who will pay more in terms of pay as you earn. Honorable Speaker, the other things that have been said about the hair products, I did mention all those are things in the past. The hustlers in the kinyozi salons are protected by the Finance Committee. Therefore, let us not vilify that what is good for political expediency. Let us, borrowing the words of my brother David Ochieng, let us be patriotic enough. If the housing levy in the Azimio coalition manifesto was a good thing, it is a good thing in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, Kenya Kwanza implementing it. If it was a good thing not to overborrow in the Azimio manifesto, it is a good thing for the Kenya Kwanza government not to overborrow and raise taxes, raise revenues to make our country more sustainable and more economically independent, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, for the good of our country, I beg all of you, as we close this debate, Honorable Speaker, as I close my submission, I beg all of you, be patriotic. Be patriotic. Be patriotic. Love your country. Love your country more than you love politics and people clapping for you out there. They will clap at you. They will clap for you. But they
Junaid Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to oppose the finance bill. Oh yeah, Honorable Speaker, I think this is the 11th finance bill that I'm participating in this House, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is one of the most controversial finance bill I've ever seen. And there must be a reason for that. Because we have seen 11 finance bills before, for those who are with me here, and you can see the controversy it has created in the country. And we have a destiny as a parliament, Mr. Speaker. We have a date with the destiny this time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, I want to say that when we were passing the VAT bill, the VAT on fuel in 2018, Mr. Speaker, it is on record that I am the one who brought the amendment when the proposal was brought by the executive to raise taxes from 0% to 16%. I am the one who brought the amendment to the finance bill to reduce it to 0%. And that is one thing that was agreed unanimously by the whole House. And I remember even the Speaker then, J.B. Muturi, was supposed to subject that matter to Article 114 of the Constitution. But he waived it on the floor of the House, and he said the amendment should come directly to the floor of the House. And in the end, an agreement was made in the House here that we go to 8% and not 16%. Mr. Speaker, that 16% is the poison chalice that is in this finance bill, Mr. Speaker. Once we implement the 16% on fuel levy, everything else will go up in this country, Mr. Speaker. Let us not hide ourselves. Let us not close our eyes on reality. Let us be truthful to Kenyans. Let us not accept that. I'm told the proposal might be from IMF, from where. Let us not care. This House must stand together and stand with the people of Kenya, because we must make life bearable for them. That is our work. That's why they elected for us. Secondly, can I tell the majority leader that the housing levy that he has alluded to in the Azimio manifesto is completely different from what is on this finance bill, Mr. Speaker. Our housing levy was modeled in accordance with the Singapore model, where we were supposed to collect money cheaply, affordably, in a manner that is bearable to the people of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Not this one of collecting through the nose, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I participated in when they were formulating the Azimio manifesto. But Mr. Speaker, it is completely different. It is like day and night. Don't use the Azimio manifesto as an example. If we were allowed to donate that Azimio manifesto to you, every Kenyan today will be happy and will be supporting this bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that let us be careful as members of parliament, because Kenyans are looking up to this House. This bill was prepared by the executive, but it is the House that has the final say on it, Mr. Speaker. That is why they say there is no taxation without representation. That is why we are here to safeguard the interests of the public. So don't be cheated that when this House passes the bill, the executive will wash their hands on us. They will say it is Parliament that passed the bill. It's not them. I can assure you that. You wait until it is passed. Let us scrutinize this bill properly. Let us make sure that it is passed in a manner that is for the well-being of the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing here big projects, housing, we are discussing many big things, roads, flyovers and everything. People of Kenya today, Mr. Speaker, are discussing food. They are discussing what to eat, how to clothe, and how to take their children to school, Mr. Speaker. Let us not speak to them like the famous French queen, what was her name? Mr. Speaker, can you help me? Antoinette Mariette. The woman, the lady who said when her people were hungry and they were asking for bread, she told the people, you can serve them with cake. Mr. Speaker, let us not go that direction. Let us serve Kenyans with food so that they can go to school. They can go to bed when they are not hungry, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want to say, this bill is going now to the third reading. We have a chance to rectify this bill as a House. Let us not be pushed to a corner. Whether you are in Kenya Kwanza, whether you are in Azimio, let us not be pushed to a corner by the authors of the bill. Let us file ranks, let us come together, let us scrutinize this bill clause by clause and remove the ones that are offensive and oppressive, and we pass the ones which are not oppressive. But if we want to do it the way other bills were done before here, which I don't want to repeat the same mistakes, the people...
Ole Sunguya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the onset, as a member of the Finance and National Planning, I support the bill. I support the bill. Honorable Speaker, the Finance Bill 2023 will be a game changer to this honorable country called Kenya. Honorable Speaker, the Finance Bill is addressing the core economic and gaps of an ailing economy. The bill addressing over 3 million unemployed youth who need a job. Honorable Speaker, the bill is a historic bill that will mark a better start of the economy recovery. Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill is addressing the debt reduction, which now stand, the debt in Kenya stand at 9 trillion, which was left by the last regime. Mr. Speaker, our projects were stalled, and men and women of the last regime put the money on their pocket instead of our projects. Honorable Speaker, the bill is an important bill that will change this country, will address a number of education of millions of people and students that are unsheltered, millions of Kenyans, to finance the roads, to finance millions of people of Kenya who are thirsty. Mr. Speaker, I stand to say that this finance bill will address many gaps through even CDS, that a number of things and health need to be addressed. I stand to say that this bill must be passed. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Mama Zamzam.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to oppose this bill. Honorable Speaker, Kenyans have braved harsh economic times in the last couple of years. And despite promises and reverse the situation by the current regime, things seems to be getting worse day by day. The continued rise in fuel prices and free fall of Kenya's shillings have affected prices of basic commodities in this country, and thus driving the inflation rate above 90% in recent months. Mr. Speaker, sir, I was looking at this bill, and I'm looking at the increase in the VAT of petroleum products from 8% to 16%. And I'm asking myself, how are we going to improve production if at all we are going to add this amount of task from the previous years? Actually, we are going to run down the curve, and I believe that we are no longer going to collect more taxes. As you are aiming at collecting more taxes, Honorable Speaker, with this kind of increase, production is going to fall low, and the Kenyans are going to suffer even more, and the production definitely will go down. Mr. Speaker, sir, introduction of Kenya shillings 5 excise duty per sugar, per 1 kilogram of sugar, will also affect our people, given that we are buying sugar at 250 per kg. You can imagine adding more 5 bob on sugar is going to affect our people, Mr. Speaker. This is not a bill for Kenya Kwanza. It's not a bill for Azimio. It is a bill for the people of this country. And someone was asking, what can we do to improve our economy? Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to state that the government can start by saving the over 700 billion looted annually by sealing all loopholes. The government should go after looters to recover stolen public resources instead of discontinuing corruption cases and appointing thieves state offices. Cut down the size of government. A broke government should not be recruiting 51 principal secretaries and an equal number of illegal cabinet administrative secretaries. Eliminate unnecessary offices, including the offices of the spouses of our executive. We don't need this office.
Thank you, Mama Zamzam. Although you are flouting the rules of the House by reading a speech instead of debating. Mama Alice Nganga. The rules of the House don't allow you to read a speech except the mover here if he has notes to guide you. You are debating. Give the microphone to Alice Nganga. What's the problem? You have Mama, switch off Mama Zamzam and give the microphone to Mama Alice Nganga. Give her a portable microphone if you are not able to give her.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the Finance Bill 2023. Honorable Speaker, I want to go on record today that we are leaders and we came here to this Parliament to guide those people who gave us position to come and represent them here. And it is always good to show them the way, Honorable Speaker. This finance bill, yesterday I sat here until 10 p.m. when the report on surprise was on the floor of the House. And everybody wants roads back at home. Everybody wants electricity back at home. Everybody wants the transfer of Inua Jamii, the elderly. They always come to me, Mr. Speaker, asking me when the ministry is going to add more more members to the Inua Jamii, but they don't want to pay tax. Honorable Speaker, I'm very shocked when I stand in this house. When we were campaigning, I saw honorable members from the Azimio side on the track saying that at the end of every month, they will be giving youth 6,000 Kenya shillings. I am wondering where the 6,000 Kenya shillings was supposed to come from. And yet there was no money, Honorable Speaker. Are they going to get 6,000 Kenya shillings from borrowing money? You know, Honorable Speaker, it is good to be very honest. This VAT on fuel, it was introduced during the handshake regime, 16%. Then, Honorable Speaker, they decided to borrow money, and that conversation died. Then this conversation was introduced in 2021. And Honorable Speaker, because of the minutes they took from me when my mic was not working, so I need to be added the 2 minutes, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, for us to be able to take care of our constituencies.
Honorable Alice, there's a point of, is it order or information? It can't be both, it's one or the other.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to clarify, because it is also important, Mr. Speaker, that we remain factual in our address in this chamber. It is true the Azimio coalition promised to give stipends of 6,000 shillings to vulnerable families every month. That money was going to come from savings realized from dealing with corruption head-on, Mr. Speaker. You are properly guided. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, no wonder I thank Kenyans. They were good enough to see the Azimio coalition were not serious, Honorable Speaker. And that's why they gave the Kenya Kwanza government an opportunity to take.
Thank you, Alice. Your time is up. Wind up in 1 minute. Give her 1 minute to compensate the interruption by the minority leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'll wind up by saying, let everybody give Honorable our President William Samoei Ruto an opportunity to take this country to another level. For midterm, we passed during budget policy statement and Kenya Kwanza plan. Let us be able to sustain ourselves from money collected from us. The problem of borrowing has to come to an end. And I want to tell you and to promise Kenyans, in a duration of 2 years, this country will move from one level to another, Honorable Speaker. Just like during Kebaki's time, when he introduced ETL, Honorable Speaker, people opposed it. But later, ETL came to help this country with transparency and conducive environment for businesses to thrive. Honorable Speaker, I stand to, Honorable Speaker, to support.
Joshua Kimilu. Joshua Kimilu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to give my contribution to the controversial financial bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak because while fiscal policies and revenue generation are important, Mr. Speaker, we also need to look at the interests of our people, Mr. Speaker, we read. It is equal imperative to question the impact those policies have to our people, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, the implication of the proposed Finance Bill 2023, Mr. Speaker, will only support burden to the citizen and even more to the Asalas nation that the current administration, Mr. Speaker, said that they'll take care of them, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of house levy, Mr. Speaker, it is very important, Mr. Speaker, for the nation to give the Kenyans options to build the houses or to do what they can do through their contribution voluntarily to do their houses, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Kenyans are proactive people, Mr. Speaker. On the ground, as I quote, Kunjituma, Mr. Speaker, there are Kenyans who are struggling now, paying their loans for the houses, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not here as members of Parliament to overburden our people with houses, Mr. Speaker. Right now, as you are speaking, parents are not able, Mr. Speaker, to take back the students to school. And, Mr. Speaker, it's due to lack of school fees, Mr. Speaker. Adding other tax to them, Mr. Speaker, will overburden them more. And this will make our country, Mr. Speaker, to be in a situation whereby our people will create more confusion, and many people who are starting a business will be in a position not even to continue with their business, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity and represent my people from Haiti, who I represent here, Mr. Speaker, to say no to this financial bill. Thank you.
Mwangi Kiunjuri.
And
give to Mwangi Kiunjuri the microphone. Give him the next, move to the next one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I start to support the finance bill, and I have a number of reasons why I do so, Mr. Speaker. First, Mr. Speaker, is that I've interacted really with a lot of people, and I agree with my colleagues that this is one of the most interrogated bills in the history of this country. This is the only bill, Mr. Speaker, whereby those old women in the villages, 70, 80 years, old men, you go to the market, to the streets, Kenyans are discussing finance bill. All social platforms. And therefore, Kenyans are informed of what is happening and what they expect out of this bill. The most fortunate thing is that, Mr. Speaker, there are several questions that they are asking. One of the questions is, how did we get to where we are today? The other question they are asking, how do we get out of this situation? Mr. Speaker, when I look at the leadership of this House, both majority and minority, both sides, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, they are all very experienced, and lucky enough, they were here even the previous parliament. When these questions are being asked, Kenyans are asking themselves, who was in the driving seat? Then, how did we get these loans? How did we expect to pay these loans? And how do we have any now headroom, Mr. Speaker, for us even to afford to go and borrow more loans? The answer we are trying to offer them, we are giving them illustrations also of a sick person. And this sick person will die, either you take care of them or we make serious decisions to take a surgery. And therefore, Kenyans must agree to go through this painful surgery to enable us get to the next level. We might have came in different boats, Mr. Speaker, but now we must pedal together or we sink together. Mr. Speaker, we have no other choice, and we have to be very genuine to our people. Either we do politics, we continue politicking, or we look for a way to get Kenyans out of the deep hole. And there is no way we are going to attain that, Mr. Speaker, unless we are truthful to our people. Yes, Kenyans will expect us to oppose this bill. But if we oppose it, Mr. Speaker, how will we tell them?
Your time is up, Kinjuri. Umul Khair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to oppose this motion, this debate, because of the various factors. Number one is the digital tax. As a youth representative in this House, it is not fair to young people who have turned out to be content creators to be taxed. The government tells them there are no jobs, but when they create jobs, we are busy taxing them, especially on the digital space. For that reason, I am not for this. Number two is the issue on the housing levy. Where I come from, As at yesterday, we lost 8 young officers along the roads of Ijara and Bodai because we don't have roads. For the long